Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org. Consequence and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, for checking out the series. Of course, you know what to do if you like what you see, what you hear. Hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I'm so excited to have one of my favorite artists, Grace Cummings, is back with a brand new record called Ramona. Hello.
Hi, good day. How are you?
I'm doing so great. This is the first time I've been able to talk to you, but I've been such a fan for this record and the last record, and the songs that you've produced are just incredible. And you just keep
Oh,
getting
thank you
better. I
so much.
love this record.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I would love to hear. So where does this record start? Does this record start in Topanga Canyon with Jonathan Wilson? Is that sort of the beginnings of it right away?
No, the record started with me at home in my bedroom and in front of my piano for a while. And I was lucky enough that Jonathan wanted to work with me. I wanted to work with him because I think he's magnificent. And I went up to Topanga and recorded a bunch of songs that I'd already written, save one that I wrote there. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Is that Love in the Canyon? Did that get written there?
it is.
Yeah. Felt like that might have been the obvious one, at least. You gotta.
Yeah, I guess so. You're right.
So what, like, you've done some self-producing and stuff like that. Like, how was this different this time around? Like the collaborative nature of this relationship.
I have always wanted to do something like this. I've always wanted to do something this big and grand and theatrical. And with my first record, it was kind of a bit of a like a fluke record. I got a record deal with Flightless, and they asked me if I had an album, and I said I did. And I just had a bunch of folk songs that I'd recorded. Um, and the second album was made during COVID, and there were a lot of constraints on us here in Melbourne, how many people you could have in a room. You couldn't rehearse with anybody. Um, you know, those 2 albums kind of just had to be small because of the circumstances that I was in. And I finally had the opportunity to do something that I've always wanted to do and have a big sound and a lot of people. And I was listening to Angel Olsen's record, Big Time, while I was on tour. And I kind of got this like wave of confidence from nowhere, and I just thought, fuck it, I'm gonna contact Jonathan Wilson and I'm gonna see if he wants to do my record. And he said yes. About half an hour later, and I just thought that it wasn't real. But it was real, and we started sending each other stuff over the internet, and I would send him voice memos, and we would talk about music that we liked, drum sounds that we liked, guitar sounds that we liked, voices. And when I got over there, it was like hanging out with a mate, really. I mean, it was hanging out with a mate, and working really collaboratively, and just having a lot of fun. I don't really know what the process was because I don't think there was one.
Yeah.
Did that answer the question at
It,
all? I don't even know what I just said.
I love that like this is muscle memory for you at this point. Like, it's how it happened. No, but it is
Yeah.
interesting to me that you have this desire to produce something much bigger.
Mm.
Like, did that change the way then that, like, how early did you know that
Oh yeah,
that was
right.
going to happen? Like, did that change the way that you wrote the songs?
Yeah. Now I remember what your original question was. How is the producing different? That's something that I cannot do on my own. I don't understand a lot of what is going on. I don't know how to play the cello. I don't know how certain things work, you know. A lot of the time I would sing parts to people, and I had some voice memos of like sung string parts and stuff. And then when I got into the room with people who really knew what was going on and really knew how to arrange stuff, like Drew Erickson, for instance, who arranged the string section, I just went, fuck, all right. Sometimes you got to work with other people and they make you better at being you. And I don't think that anybody really put on a producer hat and told everyone what to do. Everyone just worked together, doing what they did best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even hearing you, I think you mentioned somewhere about wanting to be more vulnerable in your vocal performance too. And like your voice is a weapon. I'm certain you probably understand that. Like your voice does not exist with anyone else. You know, like, oh, they sound like this, or they sound like fuck, man, Grace Cummings, that's her, singular.
Oh,
You
that's
know.
nice.
So when you talk about wanting to be even more vulnerable with how you sing, like compared to what, like how?
I think by not trying to be something that you think is good. I think that with this record in particular, my vulnerability, as you say, came from being really true, not trying to make something that was good because it was a particular type of writing, particular genre, because it sounded like this, or it would impress this person, or get kudos from that person. You know, I think that I did exactly what I felt like without much filter. So I think that is vulnerability. I think that was difficult for me, because a lot of the things that I was writing about at the time are difficult, painful things. And yeah, I think maybe that's the difference. Not filtering that stuff out because it's too much.
Right. Yeah, and not to sidestep the lyrics and what you're kind of alluding to, you know, with painful topics, but when you also put some focus on what you're doing vocally, I mean, does it ever get to a point where sometimes the words serve as just a vehicle for the melody? Like usually I think it's the
Yeah,
other way around a lot for a lot of artists, but I feel like maybe those opportunities were there to kind of flip it for you.
I think so. I just did an interview with someone just before you about songwriting, and I wish that I could have said what you just said. That sometimes the words are just a vehicle for the melody. I'm going to write that down because I think that's true. Sometimes I feel like English or whatever is not my mother tongue, and my mother tongue is actually just like sound and sensory things, and you know what I mean. I think that's a language as well, and one that I think I speak a little better.
Yeah, right.
So
But
I
then at
try
some
and
point,
fit there.
oh, I was just gonna say, then at some point, I mean, yeah, you know, you decide to put the lyrics there, like, and
Mm,
that's what I mean. Like at that point, then how much weight do you put on them? Because you might want to say something, and you definitely do say things all over through this
mm.
record. But like, I guess I almost feel silly asking it in this way, but how important is that?
Sometimes really important and sometimes not at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will write something I know nobody will understand except for me, and that's okay, um, because I understand it, and I hope that I can sing it with the emotion or the meaning that it holds, and that will translate to somebody else, and they'll be able to get something from that. And sometimes I write exactly what I mean. But I think, yeah, I mean, words are important, obviously, but sometimes I think they can be descriptors or little extras rather than a bit of prose.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes the words get in the way of the song. I don't know. I was thinking of your line in something going around, that I'm only bringing up in context of what we're talking about. I have nothing but a
Okay.
feeling and nothing to say. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty spot on.
But that's I do want to hit on some of it because Common Man, like there's a story with Common Man, as like here we have the cowboy tale, the Western that's going on.
Mhm.
Is this what's going on in this song? Is it the same connection to like Work Today and Tomorrow? Like, is there a through line with those two songs and what you're singing about?
Sure, I think so. Um, I think that Common Man is like, I mean, I know cowboys are real, and especially in places like Australia and America, obviously. But to me, the cowboy is like the mythological creature of the cowboy, like it may as well be a unicorn, and it represents like freedom and um, stuff that, you know, you don't feel and you don't think that you'll ever feel. It's not real. Um, and I guess work today and tomorrow is like like common man is like I am that, like fuck it, I am that, and work today and tomorrow is like I want that. How does it happen? I want it, you know.
Yeah. Like, do you also, when you've got, I guess I'd say a character like this,
Mm.
do you have do you see the full story? Like you hear actors, if you got a character, you will imagine the backstory to give depth to your character, even if that never comes out. Like, do you take it that far when you're kind of developing something like this?
Yeah.
So who is this
No,
person?
I mean, I'm an actor as well, and I think that whole backstory thing is just like a way. I don't know if I should say this. It's like sometimes a way for actors to just like not get up and do any work, because you're sitting around thinking about your backstory so much. It's like just do it. I feel so bad now, but I think that no matter what character you play as an actor, or if you're singing something or whatever, your backstory can only be yourself.
Mhm.
You could play this villain, Iago or something, and you want to understand what he went through as a child and why he hates Othello so much or whatever. But the only experience you have to draw upon to create that character that isn't you comes from you. That's all you know. That's all you've ever experienced. You've never been anybody else. So I think that I've already done my backstory work, and that's living the 31 years that I have.
Fair enough. And at this point, hit your mark and say your line. That's
Just get on the spot and say your lines. Don't bump into the furniture. Yeah.
I love that. I was in the attempt of possibly drawing lines that aren't there with the mention of king, the king in Common Man, and there being no king in heaven. Do you do is are we talking about the same person entity at all?
I think when I talk about kings and gods and stuff like that, it's when I don't, it's like the biggest word that I can think of. And I think that the king in Common Man is just whoever's like up there, like behind the sun or something, looking down on you. Yeah, I don't know, just like the bigger something that I don't know if I believe in or not. It's called the king this time.
I love when artists do that either way. I mean, whether it's meant to be a direct connection or not, it's that idea of like, if this were movies, it'd be a universe. It sort of makes a universe out of these songs. Like they all exist
Yeah.
together in a real place
Yeah.
where unicorns and cowboys coexist and ride each other. Right.
Yeah, it's a real place inside my head.
Appreciate you letting us in.
Thanks, man.
On the music side, I really quickly too, because like those drums and strings in Work Today and Tomorrow, that's the whole song feels devastating. But I really like that's my favorite parts of Radiohead is what I get from that song right there.
Right.
Yeah, and the percussive thing and I'm Getting Married to the War, I mean, immediately gives a place and a feel. So as we talk about what you're doing with your voice and what you're doing with the lyrics, like did you have what did you want to say musically in this? Because whatever, I love it. It's perfect.
Thank you. What did I want to say musically?
Or did you even have that vision of mind of what you wanted to sound like? I mean, I know sometimes you just fucking work at it and you hammer at it and then here it is, and sometimes you do with a grander vision.
I think I wanted every single song to sound like it could be at a really pivotal scene in a film. Yeah, I wanted it to be big. I wanted it to be theatrical. I think that real things in life are best expressed theatrically with a lot of yeah, that's full stop. That's what I think.
Full stop. No, it's good. Cinematic. It is. It's perfect. It is emotional, and it is. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. It is all the things I think I'm getting from that too. I love this record
Great.
so much. I really do. I love this record so much. I'm so happy that
Thank
you
you.
continue to do it too. And seriously, Grace, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it.
Thanks for talking with me. I had a good time.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week, new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.